tomorrow brings in this crazy life. Hey, this life, this life, this life.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's Barba223, and we are back again with another video. So, I know it has been a while since I uploaded. It's been about 2 weeks, so my bad. To be honest, I've been real busy. I've been working, and then I went on vacation with my family, and we're back now. And honestly, I didn't want to really upload anything until Blackwood came out, because this game is all over the place right now with everything changing, to be honest. And it's really hard to keep up with because we haven't really figured out what's good and what's not and blah blah blah. But I did find a build that I've been having a ton of fun with, and that is a Magic Warden melee build. Now, this build is very interesting. It's different, it's unique, and I have a hell of a lot of fun with it. So we're just gonna get into it, and yeah. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And again, I appreciate all the support you guys give me. I really do. I would love to get to 1,000 subs by like the end of summer, so hopefully we can get that, reach that goal. Of course, it's all on me if I upload more and keep you guys engaged. So make sure you let me know what you think down below. Again, I don't think this is the best build ever. It's a really fun build and it's very good, 1v1 especially. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I'll start with the character screen. So basically, here's our stats. So we have 31k magic. That actually goes up to like 34 when we use our ultimate, which is very nice. We're at 28k health, but without our passive going. So we have over 30k health with our minor toughness. We have 4,400 spell damage without our Balorg or a back bar proc, so that goes up over 5k. We are at 9k pen before we have our Balorg and Major Breach, so that goes up to almost 20k. And we have 27% crit, which is pretty solid. And then we have 1,600 recovery, but that's actually higher because of our Betty. And 2,600 crit resist, and then our resistances, they jump up to about 25 and 23.5, which is solid. So yeah, those are the stats on just raw stats. And our attributes are 50 and 14 with magic and health. We're using Bewitched Sugar Skulls, very good. We're using the Atronach Mundus, and we are a high elf. High elves are very good. Decent sustain and a lot of spell damage, so very nice, very nice. So, here's what we're doing. So we're going to start with the gear. So on the front bar, we are using a brand new set, guys. Heartland Conquer. So, this just came out with the Blackwood update. It is craftable, so it's very accessible to everybody. If you want this set, you can get it. Just find someone to craft it for you. It's very not that hard. Or you can buy it on the store because a lot of people are crafting it and just selling it for profit, which is what I did. I just bought it on the store and upgraded it myself. So, anyways, it gives weapon and spell damage for the 2-piece. It gives magic and it gives stam. And then the 5 pieces increases the effectiveness of your weapon traits by 100%. This does not affect ornate or intricate, which doesn't matter. So, this set is beastly. The reason it's so good is because not only, for me, I use a two-handed sword, so we're going to get a lot of spell damage from the sword. It's like bait, because now, as you know, two-handed gives weapon and spell damage as a flat stat. But now, not only do we use sharpen, so we get that extra 3,300 pen, but we have 100% extra trait, so we get 6,500 pen just from our freaking trait. Like, come on now. That's a lot of penetration. I even tried Nernhoned on this, but I think I like Sharpen better. You just hit so hard with this. Like, my spammable literally hit people for like 6k. It's crazy. So this set is really good, and the reason I also think it's good is not only can it provide a lot of offense when you use Sharpened or Infused or Nernhoned, it can also provide a hell of a lot of defense when you use it on the back bar, which is what we are doing, so I'll transition to that. Guys, I think a two-handed sword is really good right now too. I mean, staves are good, but I really do like the idea of using something different, and two-handed is very good, and I like the sword. It's just what I like. You can use a mace. If you really want to use an axe, you can, but I think the sword is my favorite. But anyways, on the back bar, we're using a Resto Staff. Now, as you can see, we're getting 18% healing at all times on the back bar. Now, that's why this set is so good, because it literally will give you defense and offense on both bars, which is so nice, because let's say you use defending, you're going to get 6,500 extra resistances. If you use infused, it'll make your spell damage enchantment much stronger. If you use powered, as I do, you're almost getting major mending on your back bar at all times, guys. All times. If you use a heavy attack, you get that major mending along with this. You're at like 40-something% extra healing. So don't sleep on Harlan Conquer. I think this is a very meta set. It's a good set, period. It's a good set. For a monster set, we're using Balorg. Now, there's a reason we're using Balorg. I'll explain in a second. But number one is Balorg is incredible on a Warden. Now, for one, you get spell damage and weapon damage. But now you also get, when you use an ult, you get weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of total ultimate consumed. So, and you also get penetration. So you get a bunch of damage when you use your ultimate, whether it's your defensive ultimate or offensive ultimate. You get a lot of extra damage, which is very nice. Now the reason this is good on a Warden is because most Wardens use Northern Storm, which Northern Storm increases your max magic, so it'll stack with Balorg, doing more damage on top of that. And then on top of that, Wardens have so much ultimate regen with crystallized slab, because they can get major heroism on demand with any projectile. So you are getting this, like I use my Northern Storm literally within like 15 seconds of each other. Like sometimes it's that fast. So like Balorg is amazing. It's so good. I tried not running a monster set and using Malakath instead, but I found a lot more success with using Balorg. I think Malakath is still, of course, really good. I think it's a little bit worse than it was last patch. It just didn't feel quite as strong, but Balorg is incredible. Incredible with a Warden especially. Because of the ultimate regen, and on top of that, Northern Storm is a quote-unquote expensive ultimate, so you're getting a lot of that, a lot out of that. So really, really nice. But yeah, let's move on. So our other 5-piece is Shulk. Now this set is just a set I've been testing a lot, and I think it is a really good set on a Warden and a DK. Now DK because you get a lot of resources back for using an ultimate, and on a Warden because, like I said, Balorg stacked with your major heroism, you're getting ridiculous ultimate regen, because Shulk gives you health, max health, spell damage, spell critical, and on top of that, the 5-piece gives you a bunch of spell damage, and it gives you minor heroism at all times, generating 1 ult every 5 seconds. So you are literally getting major heroism and minor heroism pretty much at all times. Now that is a ridiculous amount of ultimate. Like, I even thought about using decisive on here, because that would be insane, the amount of ult regen you would get. I want to test that out. So yeah, that is just, you're getting an insane amount of ultimate with Shulk, and not only does it give you the major minor heroism at all times, but you're getting a lot of spell damage. So like, you're not wasting a 5-piece on just one buff. You're getting an extra 5-piece of spell damage, which is something that was really good with the Blackwood update. A lot of the sets that just gave a 5-piece bonus, that, you know, they give you a buff. For example, Rattle Cage gives you some major sorcery. Well, in Blackwood, they also added that spell damage line in the 5-piece to make it more viable. That way you're not just wasting a 5-piece on a buff, and you're getting something else that gives you an extra added bonus. So that's very good. The one thing I want to mention is that we are running 1 heavy, 2 heavy, 3 heavy, 4 heavy. Okay, we're running 4 heavy, 1 medium, and 2 light. Now that's very good for the Undaunted passive. So the 2 light pieces, you're going to want to make them the waist and hands, because they're the least important, and then the heavy pieces are the big pieces. If you can, I would go crit resist on all of them, maybe reinforced on the chest and legs. I want to transmute this, but divines isn't the worst thing. But yeah, those are our 2 5-pieces. The jewelry, I will say, I'm using Bloodthirsty on Harlan Conqueror at the moment. It's good. You could use Infused if you want. I just like using this for when people are low health and I'm trying to finish them. It's very good. It helps classes that don't have a finisher. So, yeah. I have 2 Shulk rings. Now, I have max health on them right now, which I guess that's okay. Obviously, it's not ideal. But what I would do is probably transmute these and make them Infused, Bloodthirsty. Even Swift would be good. Really, anything that you want in this spot, I think Infuse is probably better. But yeah, just use whatever you want here for the trait. It's up to you. Now I am using all 3 glyphs as magic recovery because we don't have anything else that really gives us recovery in the build, so I think that's very good. And I feel like Warden is an expensive class in terms of skills, so that's why I'm using recovery. And on top of that, we're using two-handed, and Shulk is going to provide us with a lot of spell damage as it is, so I really do like that. You know, I think it works. So that's the gear. We're using poisons here as well. You don't have to use poisons. You can use like a shock glyph, or not, maybe not a shock glyph, but maybe a disease glyph. But yeah, that's the gear. So yeah, let's move on to the skills. So on the front bar, we are using, first we're using Inner Light. Now, Inner Light is going to give you crit chance, which is very valuable. I believe it's like over 10%. It's like 12% crit, which is very, very good. On top of that, you're getting 5% extra max magic, which is the best part about this. You're just essentially doing more damage. That's really what this skill is going to help you do. Extra crits, extra magic equals extra damage. So that's very nice. It's going to help you a lot. I tried a couple other things here. I tried using impaling. Tried using shards here. It didn't really matter. Like, it didn't really help me out much. I think Mage Light made a big difference in terms of my damage, so I like that a lot. So I think it's a must-have here. And I mean, even with Malakath now you can crit, so using this is still good. Here we have Deep Fissure. So we have a 13k tooltip on buff. Let me just buff up real quick and use that. So we're chilling at almost a 15k. It will be over 15k with our glyph, so that's very good. It's just your bread and butter skill, and as a melee build, when you're up close and personal, it's easier to hit this skill because you're just up in their face. So this skill really, really, really is good for your burst. It's just your bread and butter combo. Keep this up at all times. And on top of it, the reason why Warden is so strong is because not only do you have this insane damage skill, but it applies Major Breach on top of that. So you're just doing so much damage with one skill. Like, this skill is so valuable because of that. Not having to use weakness to elements on top of this is so good. It gives you a crazy damage, but it also gives you that amazing debuff. So this skill is a must and makes Warden so powerful. Next, we're using Bird of Prey. This is a must. You have to have this. It's going to give you 5% extra damage with Minor Berserk. Very, very important. On top of that, you're going to get Major Expedition, which is going to help you with survivability. It's also going to help you stay up close and personal with your melee, because you're a melee build, so you're going to want to stay close to people. So being able to have that extra mobility is very, very important. And it's one of Warden's best skills, in my opinion. It just needs to be there. So next, we have Fetcher Infection. So this skill is just your dot. Now, this skill is very good. It's just like any other dot in the game, pretty much. But the reason it's so good, in my opinion, is number one, it does 50% extra damage every time you cast it. So every other time you cast it, it's going to do more damage, which is nice. You know, it's good. But the reason it's so good is because it applies minor vulnerability to the enemies when it's on them. So it just increases their damage taken by 5. So it kind of stacks with Minor Berserk. So you do 5% extra damage, and they also take 5% extra damage. So that's 10% extra damage. And on top of that, it means you don't have to use a shock glyph if you don't want to. I would probably just use a cold glyph since you get extra cold damage. And now that takes up that slot, which is nice, right? So it's a very good dot. I mean, if you don't want to use this and you don't like it, I guess you could say you could probably use Soul Trap. It's very, very similar. When you morph Soul Trap, it gives you extra resources back when you kill people, so that could be valuable, but I do like Fetcher Infection a little bit better. So yeah. Next, we have Arterial Burst. Now, this skill is actually insane. Not only does it hit like a truck, it is cheap because your vampirism. Look, we have almost a 10k tooltip on our spammable. Now, the reason this is insane, because let's say we're doing 10k with this, it also does 33 extra damage based on your missing health. So sometimes in a fight, like if you have your dot heals up and you're getting under you're like at 50% health, this skill will hit so hard it'll do about 16% extra damage. So you're going to be hitting like crazy. And on top of that, if you're under 50% health, you're going to always get a critical strike. So there's been times like where I'm fighting an outnumbered fight and they hit me with a couple ults and I'm still alive. I can drop my Deep Fissure into an Arterial Burst and literally melt someone because this skill will hit so hard. And on top of that, it's very, very cheap compared to Cliff Racer. As you can see, it's almost 700 less. So that's very important. And it has a higher tooltip. So, and it hits harder, at certain times. The reason it's so cheap is because we're Vamp. So we're only stage 1. You don't need anything else. You definitely don't need to be higher stage than 1. If you want to be a higher stage than 1, I guess you could, and then get the undeath passive, and then along with that, your arterial burst will almost be a free morph. It'll be free at that point, because your costs go down with your vamp. But I would personally just use arterial burst with stage 1 vampirism, because you don't want too much of an extra cost on your other skills. So that's why we use this. This skill was amazing. So lastly, we use Northern Storm. It's your bread and butter ultimate. Number 1, it hits like a truck. Number 2, it gives a crazy snare. Number 3, it makes your magic higher, meaning you do more damage. And number 4, it gives major protection to you and your allies, reducing your damage taken. It's insanely good. Now, it does cost 6 extra because you're a vamp, so which is actually a good thing that it costs 6 extra, because it's just going to give a little bit extra damage with your Balorg, so that's actually a good thing. But this ultimate is insane. It's just so good, and you literally can spam this with minor and major heroism at all times. You're essentially spamming this ultimate. It's insane. Now, if you really want to get cheeky and you do want to raise your vampirism level, you can, and then you can use this Blood Scion. It's pretty similar to Northern Storm, but the reason this one is so good, number 1, it sucks that it's expensive, but it will give you extra with your Balorg, so that's nice. But while transform, you get insane amounts of resources, so you just hit harder and you're harder to kill. It's that simple. And you do AoE damage around you, so it is very good. I will not lie to you. This one is very cheeky, but I do like Northern Storm, and even when I do unlock Blood Scion, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use Northern Storm, I think. It's just cheaper and better. I mean, this one lasts longer, but dude, Northern Storm for me is just my favorite because of the max magic. So even though Blood Scion does increase your max magic as well. So it is a good shout if you want to raise your vamp, or even keep it and just use this as an expensive ultimate to wreck people. But yeah, on the back bar we have Ice Fortress. Let me hurry this up, I don't want to keep you too long, but we have Ice Fortress here. It's your bread and butter, major resolve, you know, I say bread and butter a lot, but it means that it's your skill you got to use. So it gives you minor protection, so very, very good skill, got to have it. Now this is where the major heroism comes in, Shimmering Shield. Number 1, it makes you pretty much immune to projectiles, which is amazing. So it's 45k damage from 3 projectiles around you for 6 seconds, so it's an insanely good one. On top of that, you restore a bunch of magic each time you restore it. You absorb a projectile, so it pretty much makes the skill cheap, because if you absorb 3 projectiles, then you're lowering the cost by 2400, which makes this skill pretty much free. And on top of that, you're getting major heroism that stacks with your minor heroism, giving you insane alt regen. Living Trellis is, in my opinion, the rapid regen for Wardens. It is just very good. It gives a really nice dot heal, and on top of that, it gives you a burst heal at the end, which is the reason I use it instead of rapid regen. Plus, it lasts for 10 seconds. So very, very, very good. And here we're using Arctic Blast. It's your burst heal. Honestly, guys, I don't know how I feel about this anymore. In Blackwood, they nerfed it, so I don't know if most of you know that or not. So you could also use Fungal Growth instead. I don't know. That's really all I have to say. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating that they nerfed Arctic Blast, although I do agree with the nerf. It is what it is, but Arctic Blast is also your CC. That is kind of why I still use it, because it is pretty freaking important to have a CC, and Arctic Blast is going to be what gives you it. So I mean, Fungal Growth is also a good shout, because but that increases your recovery as well. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think down below in terms of Arctic Blast. It just doesn't seem, it's not as good as it used to be, because I know it got nerfed, so I don't know, but it's needed as a stun. So Blue Betty, that's her last skill. It's going to give you your spell damage. It's going to give you a bunch of magic recovery. It's a free skill. You can spam it for a heal, a small heal. And on top of that, it's a cleanse. It's insane. It's probably the best sorcery buff in the game just because of how much it gives you. It's such a loaded skill. Recovery, a cleanse, spell damage, a heal, all in one. It's just a great skill. Here, guys, we're using Enchanted Forest. Now, this skill is also just a very good heal. It's a big burst heal. It's a nice dot heal. It gives you ultimate if you're low health, which is why I say you have so much more alt regen than you realize. So you can almost use this skill at all times. Like, with your major and minor heroism, you literally have this up pretty much 100% of the time. So that's very nice. If you really want to, you can use the rest of all. It's more expensive, but it's probably a bit better because it heals longer, or not a lot longer, but it heals a lot harder. So, and it'll give you more Balorg bonus. So, I mean, it's up to you. I do like using the Enchanted Forest, so that's just what I'm using. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I'll go through the CP a little, but honestly, it doesn't matter that much to me right now. I play mostly no CP, but I'll tell you what I have. Biting Aura, AoE damage, crit resist, extra spell damage, and extra max magic. And then in the other tree, we have core combat skills of reduced cost when you have a status effect. Under CC immunity, you have extra damage mitigation. Under CC immunity, it's actually lasts longer, 15%, and then you get extra armor. So that is what we're running, guys. It's nothing, nothing that no one has ever heard of. It is what it is. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Make sure you stay for the gameplay at the end. And thanks. I really appreciate it, guys. Let me know what you think. I think this build's a really fun one. So as always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I always, always, always appreciate the support. So thanks, guys, and have a good one.